He wrote his teachings, telling His Majesty, King Essie, has resolved old age, and it looked like she was clouded, and the organs filled with pain, and grown-up came out like something new. And I became the force in the face of emaciation, and the mouth became silent, blindfolded, ears silenced. Eyes. The heart became a lot of oblivion other than yesterday's memory, and the bones are hurting from age, and the nose mute doesn't breathe, and both of them became painful, and good has become malicious. And every taste is gone. Aging makes one's condition bad in everything. It's me making a backing for my age, and let my son take my place. And I teach him the conversations of those who hear, and the thoughts of the predecessors. Those who deprive the ancestors in empty times, they do the same for you. Until the fight between people is prevented, Egypt serves you. His Majesty replied, teach him first the talk. And I hope it's an example for the great boys if obedience is his pioneer, and he realizes every right idea of who he's talking to. There is no boy to gain understanding on his own. Don't be too big because of your knowledge, and don't be puffy because you're a man of the world. Ignorant and sensible consultation. Because the end of science is inaccessible, and there is no world completely in control of his art, and good speech is more disappearing than gracious green stone. Nevertheless, it is with the mother who works in the management of the mill's stones. Listening is useful for a son who listens, and the listener enters like a human being has listened, and who listens becomes a listener, and it's all right to listen and speak. Who listens is an owner of the benefit, because listening is good for the hearing. Listening better than anything, because one of its results is beautiful love. The most beautiful son he listens to when his father speaks to. It will reach old age because of it, and the listener is loved by God. And who doesn't listen to the hatred of the gods? It is the mind that constitutes its owner to be listening or not listening. Man's mind is his life, happiness, and health. What a beautiful boy sees the duty to listen to his father. And the greatest joy of man, to whom people say, he is a son of virtue as a master listening. The listener who is told that it is virtuous from birth, and respectfully in his father's eyes. His memory is in the mouths of the living on earth as long as they live. An idiot who doesn't listen won't be successful. He considers science ignorance and good is malicious. He exposes himself every day to blame. For what it comes from everything hated. He lives on what people die in. And the malicious saying fed his mouth. And then his morals are known to the rulers. He dies alive every day. People will never treat him because of the many bad things he does every day. If you're one of those sitting on a table bigger than you are, so take what's given to you when it's put in front of you, and look at what's in front of you. You don't take many moments because that's self-disgusted. And look at your face down, and speak only after he welcomes you, and laugh when he laughs. That would be good for his heart. What you do is acceptable. Because man doesn't know what's in the heart. And the great man depends on the orders of himself when he sits in front of the food, and the great man gives those next to him. If your president has ever been of inferior origin, you have to ignore his past situation. Respect it as received, because the fruit does not come in pardon, and don't ever return stupid words that came out of another in an hour of anger. Remain silent. This is better than flowers, and just talk if you know you're going to solve the dilemmas. Making speech is harder than any other craft. You have to give the prince advice to help him, because your strength depends on his temperament, and the beloved man's belly is filled, and his back is broken accordingly. Be deep-hearted, and be steady as long as you speak. May the prince who hears your words say, what's the most useful word out of his mouth? If you become great after being small, and you became a wealth owner after you needed, don't forget how you were last time, and don't sing your wealth that came to you for a grant from God. You're no better than your peers who got it, that is, poverty. Satisfy your friends with what you find because of your privilege at God. No person knows his fate if he thinks about tomorrow. If you're looking for the ethics of who you want to accompany, don't ask them. But he approached him and was with him and tested his heart with conversation. If he reveals something he has seen, or he comes up with something that makes you ashamed of him, be wary of even answering it. If you're a successful man, and you have a house, and you were born a son who gained the satisfaction of the God King, and if it works well, and money to your nature, and he heard your tips and his plans were good at home, and he was taking care of your owner properly. So find him everything good, he's your own son, and your heart doesn't get away with it. But if it works worse and show your plans, i.e. your orders, and does not work as per your advice, and his plans became worthless, challenging everything you say, then I cut it out, because he's not your son, and he's not born to you. Don't be an evil in division, and don't be urgent in the right. Do not covet the money of your relatives. A petition with lien will do more than force. The little that is embezzled generates hostility, even at the soft printer, meaning Hallam. If you want your creation to be benign, and to free yourself from all ugly, beware of binge. It's an incurable disease. Friendship is impossible, because she makes a good friend bitter, and a trustworthy investigation of his master, and you make both parents ugly as well as the brothers, differentiating between husband and wife. It is a package in which all kinds of evil, and a disadvantage with everything, and a man who has a real way of behaving, and he walks on the tightness of living long, the rich earn it, but the bulimia has no grave. If you want to keep friendship in a house you enter, sir, you were a servant or a companion. Beware of proximity to women. The place where he is not good. It's wise, then, not to cram yourself into them. And for that, 1,000 men go to death because of a short pleasure lost like a dream. Man's knowledge does not reap but death. Follow your mind as long as you live, and don't do any more than you were told. Do not shorten the time when you follow your heart, because he hated the self to detract from her time, and don't occupy yourself daily other than what your house requires. And when you get rich, enjoy yourself, because wealth is not done, usefulness, if it is tortured. If you're a governor who orders the people, find out for yourself every good precedent so that your orders will continue unwavering. Honesty is beautiful and its value is timeless. He has not budged, because punishment solves those who tamper with its laws. And misfortunes may go to wealth, but honesty doesn't go. It stays and stays. And the straight man says about him, "It's my father's belongings I inherited from him." And if you listen and be aware of what I threw at you, each manufacture of you will be similar to the work of grandparents. The validity of these things is thanks to them, i.e., grandparents. Her memory will not be erased from people's mouths, because their advice is worthy of appreciation. And every word will be moved and will never be erased from this earth. Speaking will be as valuable as the princes say. When your boss infects a well-deserved fame, it will never be good, and it will commemorate all its advantages. As for the wise man, his soul constantly enjoys the survival of his virtue on earth. A reasonable man is known for his work. His heart is a balance of his tongue, and his lips are right to say when he speaks, and his eyes are visible when he looks. And then you hear him benefit his son, who does justice and is free from lying. If you sit with so many people to eat, look at food indifferently, and if you crave it, self-control does not cost man more than a moment, and it was no shame that man was evil, lost water that recounts thirst. And if the mouth is enriched, it strengthens the heart, and the good thing replaces the good as little replaces much. And the evil man is unhappy with the need for his body. And if you sit down with a voracious person, you don't eat until he's done his meal. And if you sit with a drunk, don't take the drink until it satisfies his lust. And don't get on the meat in your honor. So when he presents to you and you don't reject it and think that would comfort him, comfort.